What's up, you guys? Little late, 1 week delay. I had exams, whatever. No excuses, though. We're back. Episode 12. I got my man Jonathan Noble, JT. Say what's up.
How you doing? How you guys doing?
And it's a special day today. It's been very anticipated, especially between, the
Big,
spiritual community.
very big,
Uh,
very big.
Day of planet alignment for manifestation, whatever you want to. We could go right into that if you want. So let
Yeah,
me know.
the great
Let me know more
juncture, the
about this whole
great junction,
manifestation
man.
thing.
So, we follow laws of physics, the universe we live in, and sun revolves around a black hole. The Earth revolves around the sun. We have days, time periods. So time is made up of the day-night cycle, the 24-day night cycle. We have 12 months in a year. So it's like 12 hours in day and night. So to say that the moon and the planets have no influence on the people on Earth is a big statement, and a lot of people can go into their philosophies and say what they want. But you do believe that we follow the same physics as like water or some shit, that the moon does affect us. These planets do affect us. That their magnetic forces, sun flares, whatever we want to say, the in the cosmic universe does affect us. So supposedly we're going into the age of Aquarius, and the last time the great juncture where Jupiter and Saturn were like this was in 1620 or something, 800 years ago. So like the Renaissance. So supposedly we're going into an age of a new awakening, the going from a 3D third dimension type of thinking into 5 dimension type of thinking.
Do you want to
Christ
go ahead and
consciousness.
explain what that is? 5 dimensional, because you lost me there.
Okay. So I got my notes with me, so you
Yeah.
guys can quote me. I don't give you guys bad knowledge. I don't everything in context. Study. I don't know shit. I'm just a student of the universe. I just love knowledge. I love so my way of 3D thinking from what I've studied is that it's really based off the ego. It serves the self. It lives in duality, cause and effect, polarization, associates itself with labels. It's a victim mentality. It feels like it's separate from the universe. Control, rules, status, materialism, hardworking, linear thinking, fear-based programming. So that's what I associate 3D thinking as. It's just like survival based. Like uh, my ribs are touching. I gotta feed my family, and
Okay.
I truly believe today is the day that the Mayans predicted the universal mass consciousness awakening, the transformation, whatever these instead of the world ending, I think it's the 3D world ending. This egocentric, the fear-based programming is ending, and we're going more into like unity consciousness, aligned with the divine, heart-centered service to others, purpose based, connectiveness, authenticity, flow states, abundance, resource information, unconditional sharing, more into a 5D type of uh, reality. And
And no, go ahead. Go ahead.
people in the spiritual community has been talking about this event for since 2012. So so this is a big day for uh consciousness.
So, manifestation, meditation. Why is that being pushed for today?
Uh, I think more because we're on the winter solstice and because of how on the solstices, I don't, I'm not really well studied in astronomy right now. That's something I definitely want to start studying. But and the solstices supposedly we're like closest to the sun or farthest from the sun or something like that. And in the spiritual community, they said the solstices like uh the the spaces in between dimensions are the closest.
Okay.
So like when you meditate, it's actually like uh it's like a easier way to get into the meditative state is if you do it on these certain days at these certain places on the earth, having certain stones, you know what I mean? Anything, but like
Yeah.
those are different ways to get you in the meditative state, and like today would be one of those days.
So the only, I guess, how I would challenge it, uh, since you're saying we're sort of transferring from an egotistical way of thinking, isn't it egotistical to see how the planets align only from Earth's perspective?
Um, very
I just think it's
egotistical.
very Earth based. You know what I'm saying? Like,
They said when you look out in the sky, it's like there's like a grain of rice or like something like a grain of sand on the tip of your fingertip, and you're like looking at it from your perspective, or like you're trying to look at an atom on the tip of your fingertip from your perspective. That's like us trying to look at stars from our
mhm,
perspective. So like it's so uh, our way of thinking has been really three-dimensional. It's really has been uh besides the pun, like really three-dimensional. It's been
yeah.
um very narrow-minded, very narrow-minded.
Well,
um go
it's interesting. I didn't think much of it at first. Uh, I do believe in manifestation and meditation and all these things, but I generally don't like tying them to events with planets lining up, for example, which is today.
right, I feel that absolutely.
Um, but it was
Uh,
interesting that you brought up the Renaissance thing because it does seem like we're sort of
so the
technology is
reason
gonna peak. You know what I'm saying? Like we're entering this age where we're gonna start going to space, and it's gonna be a more regular thing. Traveling is gonna be way faster, much easier. A bunch of jobs are gonna be eliminated, which I wanted to bring up because you're talking about how this five-dimensional thinking is more about sharing and love and all these things, more of a communal system, which might have to happen if so many jobs are eliminated. We have to be together. You know, it's not everybody for themselves type of thing.
right, right. So where do you want to go with it?
Um, on a more societal level, I was going to talk about universal basic income,
Uh-huh.
um, and how there's in America, especially, for example, like how a Democrat might see politics here is considered like communism or socialism, but in like some
Right,
European countries, that's like totally normal because they're
right,
already on that sort of system. And like socialism, for example, where systems like universal basic income, I think they'll be a necessity. Like they're inevitable because
absolutely,
so many people are
absolutely.
going to be out of jobs. So many things are going to be automated. How are they going to sustain themselves? Like we're going to have to pay higher taxes for things to be, universal health care, education, etc. And
So
so
when we
maybe this is
start
the breaking point.
so when we start replacing the labor force with robots, soon the labor force won't have enough resources to buy anything.
Mhm.
So ultimately that we're leading to a future where it's almost inevitable. Unless we
Yeah.
go into a resource-based economy where the monetary system, fiat currencies, and where healthcare is universal,
Hmm.
jobs, there's no such thing as unemployment, and a way to create this type of reality is like to put up solar panels, or to go clean the ocean, or to go help build the moon station, right? Let's use those three examples. And if those are free employment, and we'll give you free housing, free education for your family, free healthcare, and like
Hmm.
that can be a real potential way of self-sustaining for humanity in the future. And that's definitely like something like us as young generations, us conscious beings, is like something that we would want to work towards, rather than a dystopia type of reality. um Politics is crazy. Politics, I feel like it doesn't matter if it's socialism, communism, capitalism. If there's We can't have a global economic system and have nationalism.
Right.
We're we can't have global warming and have uh, a federal reserve system where each country has their own money.
And
Eh,
what I'm saying, we can tie this all back to today being a special day because from now on, or maybe it's a trend that's been going on for a while, it seems like we are reaching that breaking point
yeah,
where
definitely.
the way the systems we have are not sustainable anymore. Um,
Um, One thing I liked that you brought up earlier and that I said was about the Renaissance.
mhm.
The universe doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. Um,
Yeah, I like that quote.
so like in the early 1900s, around like 1918, it was the Spanish flu, and then
Right.
1818 or something, there was the plague or something, and then
Hmm.
there's like, so the universe is on. We The sun travels around the Milky, or the black hole around the Milky Way, like this, right? Earth travels around the sun like this. But in space, the Earth is really traveling like this through space. So we're kind of going through cycles through
Okay.
the actual physics of space. You know what I
That
mean?
I think that would be easier to get if it was like visual. But I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. Sorry, a physicist was trying to. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
well
yeah,
studied enough. I'll get there, and maybe in 20 years
yeah,
or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
I'll be able to. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Physics will finally start making sense and shit. Um, so basically, we're going through space like this. We're traveling through space like this,
Right.
and the Earth has its cycles.
Like a pandemic every 100 years.
Exactly. And right now, and every 800 years, we have a mass consciousness awakening. We have some event, if it's a pandemic, if it's from artificial intelligence, if it's from aliens, if it's from global warming, whatever the great filter that the planet is going up against, that humanity has to step up.
And it's crazy because 800 years. The fact that our generation is going to live at the beginning of something, which, if you
Right.
believe in it, great. And if you don't because you're not spiritual, that's okay too. But to be living in something that could potentially happen every 800 years is a blessing.
So when I first got on my journey, I didn't believe in spirituality. I am a science fanatic. I completely love math. I love science. I love the experimentation. I love proving it with evidence. Um, and if people don't believe it, I want to just, on a plea, just be open minded enough to just study physics, study history. because when
Yeah.
you start studying time periods, history, people, philosophies, it kind of is the same. They stay in the same stuff. It's still the same movements. They're still trying to overcome the same battles. They're still like
Yeah.
it's still everybody's trying to evolve in their certain time period. You know what I mean? And uh, just look at the. I don't want to say coincidences. I just say look at all the possibilities of how it's connected, and there's much more evidence of what like they're connected rather than they're not being connected.
And for the people that are strictly science based too, I'm very fact driven, I guess you could say, and
Right,
science and
right.
everything. Like for example, when it
We're
comes
very
to the
analytical.
vaccine, I don't believe any conspiracy theory because I believe that there are scientists that know way more than us that have been dedicating the last
Right, right,
9 months to this. They know
right,
what they're doing, and they're doing it because that's what they signed up for, to help humanity, whatever, however you want to see it. But there's some things in the universe that just you can't explain and just are kind of surreal. And that's when you have to think there's something greater than us. We can't just be it.
mm, mm,
And it's definitely not just us. There's something
mm,
else out there.
mm,
Um, but yeah, definitely what you brought up earlier about the nationalism thing, the issues that we're facing today, and maybe everybody says 2020 is so shit. They're all global issues. It's global warming. It's a global pandemic.
right,
It's a
right,
global economy, and we
right,
can't keep seeing each other with borders or with race
right.
because that's
Exactly.
just and Earth in 20 years is going to be completely mixed race anyways.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, if you're a spiritual person, you can definitely tie that to today as sort of that's going to start evolving, and we're going to start leaving those traditional ideas behind. We're not going to have a choice.
No, we have no choice. Exactly.
Um,
And like these great filters like global warming, artificial intelligence, aliens, um, asteroid, um, these events are coming upon us, and there's been plenty of movies. It's kind of crazy to think that like the sci-fi movies in the 60s is like we have that technology today and like we take it for granted, don't even realize it. So the
yeah.
stuff that we see in sci-fi movies today pretty much is what the world's going to look like in for
Well,
4 to
and
40 years.
we said this before, which might almost be jokingly, but more on a broad level. Obviously, not specifically how Black Mirror presents it,
Mhm,
but on a
mhm,
broad level, like the main idea of some of their episodes are definitely what a dystopian world would look like.
right.
Um, like some sort of social ranking system, for example.
Mm.
These things are happening in countries like China. Um,
I think
so
it's going to start getting implemented worldwide. My dad went to do a Dota tournament. It's the biggest, so esports is gonna absolutely take off in the entire planet. Virtual reality, augmented reality, mech suits. We won't need athletes to go on the field anymore. They could just put on mech suits, and now they don't have the harsh conditions on their body as much as playing physically. Like this wave of technology is inevitable, and
does that
it
worry you?
just uh, it worries me and excites me. It worries me because it could leave us as everybody just in their room, and they just hook their brain up to a thing, and they won't be able to determine what dimension they're in. That worries me. It excites me that it could be like a possibility of like Star Trek where you can get hop in a simulator and practice something, or like hop in a simulator and go ski down a mountain you know what I mean, in the simulator, and then you can actually do it in real life, which is what
Well,
supposedly they've been doing right now.
again, Black Mirror. This
Yeah.
episode was a little weird, but remember the episode where the guy has like that video game where he can it's like a fighting game and he can feel the punches and everything, but he's just sitting in his couch.
Uh,
Well, it's I think it's called Striking Vipers, and he puts this like headset on or something, and he's
oh, that's the
in this
fucking gay
virtual
one, huh?
world.
I heard about that
Yeah, it is the
one.
gay one. It is the gay one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I heard
But
about that one. My brothers was
aside from
talking
the
about
gay part, aside from the gay part, that could be some sort of future for video games or
so, like,
whatever.
Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Have you seen it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, bro, like, definitely, that type of, or the Matrix, even if we want to say it. But I really want and praying that even today, we like, there's a lot of people having a mass meditation today, praying for that, us going into a utopia where we're all loving, we're all appreciative, we all taking care of the planet, we're all uh looking towards the future as having humanity as a planetary species. Um,
Which would be insane.
which
They're saying that could happen in this very decade.
exactly, in this very decade. And Elon Musk is saying in this very decade that it's going to be FDA approved to put a computer chip in your brain where you can download your consciousness, and that if your body stops working, that you can put it in an external body, they can stop if you don't have a retina, they can literally put a camera and then put a computer chip and then you can see. Or if you don't have an arm, they can put like transmitters here where you can move a whole hand with your brain, and this is gonna
Well, they
become
already
our
have that, those sort of prosthetics.
right, but it's like so huge and you gotta be hooked up to a computer the whole time. Now it's gonna be like a little thing. They said that you're
Hmm.
not even gonna be able to see it and you'll be able to have godlike abilities. You'll be able to have talk any language you want to just because you want to. You just download it. Um I got this
I just,
physicist
I was just gonna say, I hope we don't entirely lose our humanity. You know, there's something special about our romantic side, our our human side of just committing errors. If if it's all perfect,
so these are a few things that is really keen to the brain and us as humans. And these few things I'm about to list out right now can literally transform matter right there in front of you. Um, so it's a meditation, prayer, sound frequencies, being pure and honest, grounding, sunlight, water, pineal gland decalcification, breath work, visualization, high frequency foods, and laughter. Some of these, like those practices, are like some of the highest frequencies and energies.
and
When we hook up to an EEG scan,
yeah,
like these are the things that produce like the most out of our brain, and
but
it
just
can
notice
literally,
how none of those things involve technology.
right, right. And with technology, the reason why I'm bringing it up is with technology, you can subsidize all those things and artificially, or not, I don't want to say artificially because we all are living in this reality. We're talking on this phone. This phone's real. It might be like something that's not occurring in nature, but we definitely created it. We're part of nature. So it's artificial, but it's not. Um, be- so because we all live in this reality and it's all the same shit, we're all part of the same quantum field and like we're all connected, that ultimately it's accelerating the process of growth and consciousness of the way God, the universe, energy perceive is going to perceive itself. And
Well, don't that's what they say. Like, um, the universe is just seeing itself through us.
right, right, exactly, exactly. And
Um,
now it's going to be able to see 8 billion the time everybody's on the internet, 8 billion people all at the same millisecond, and see what it's experiencing. What, like, see, and then that goes back to a spiritual sense. Like, is my dog, is God perceiving itself, having experience through my dog? You know what I mean? Like, so every single bug, every single fucking mushroom in the ground, every single tree is having its own spiritual experience. I don't know. That's
well, I
something.
mean, that might sound a little ridiculous, but I think it's better than thinking these sort of things only apply to humans.
Hmm, hmm.
I think that's
Yeah,
worse.
that's true. That's true. That is true.
Because again, same thing as always. We're not as special as we think we are.
Right. Right.
We, in fact, our brain even tells us that we're smarter than we really are. Like we're just not all that. And I think this could be a good segue into our next topic, which is something you brought up to me the other day. And at first, you also know I thought it was kind of surreal, but you had it backed up. So again, we're not special. The universe is huge. It's 14 billion years old, right? Uh, there's got to be something else out there that's on our level of thinking. Uh, and I just saw this the other day that the coordinates of the Egyptian pyramids are the exact same number as the speed of light.
Speed of light.
Now, before we go into that and thinking that it's aliens that came down and helped build them, whatever, the only side where I'm wary about this is that, for example, the speed of light is measured in meters per second, and seconds are nothing. Like time isn't really even a constant. We just use
Right.
seconds to measure things, to measure a
Right.
minute, measure an hour. Meters. Somebody just said, okay, 100 centimeters is a meter. They could have made it 105, and the whole
Right.
number would be different. So, do you want to go ahead and say your thoughts? How much of it of this connection is coincidence, and how much of it could be something bigger?
Um, you would agree with me that 2 plus 2 equals 4, right?
Of course.
Um, Humanity stumbled upon mathematics. It's not something that we just invented. Calculus is something that Isaac Newton did invent because he couldn't figure out. We didn't have mathematics to explain gravity. So, but again, we don't know why mathematics works, but it gives us like a blueprint and prediction tools of why humanity is what it is. The Platonic solids, the pyramid shape or cube, let's say. The pyramid shape, it has acute angles in it, and it's at like 45 degrees. Um, it adds up to 720. A cube, if you add up all the 90 degrees, it adds up to 360. Um, we don't know why that it's like that. It just is, and it's
And even if the
self-recurring.
numbers were different, the math would be the same anywhere.
Exactly, exactly. Anywhere in the universe that these phenomenon apply, that gravity, nuclear forces, like plasma, chemistry, biology, um,
They just work.
they just work. It just happens. It's the laws of the universe. Like, it's just what it is. And yeah, we stumbled upon it. We are conscious enough, we got big enough brains to fathom that we are experientially perceiving uh ourselves on our day to day. All 7 billion of us are having our own conscious experience, and every single second, every single conversation, every single person we talk to, even from the stuff that we scroll on Instagram, was perfectly tailored for that millisecond, for that second, for you to have that
Well,
experience.
and in simpler terms, you only create the future in the present.
Exactly, exactly.
So, um,
But there's also another paradigm where the future, the present, and the past are happening simultaneously, and that all of those realities are happening. It's just we are perceptually basically living our lives per millisecond. We're basically like
not even
those
millisecond, just constantly, constantly.
right, right,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like those projectors that have, how like they used to have the old time reels and it would be picture by picture. Pretty much that's what we are experiencing. And me waving my hand like this, I don't see this, you know
yeah.
what I mean? But
But if you were to
ultimately,
break it down into frames,
exactly,
it would look like you're going like this, not smooth
exactly,
enough. That
exactly.
there's a name for that. It's some sort of I'm pretty sure it's a paradox, but I can't remember the name of it. If I find it,
Um,
I'll put it in the description. But yeah, I remember I had a
definitely.
teacher talk about that, where
Mm,
like motion is an illusion.
mm, mm,
Um,
mm,
yeah. Uh, just just today, I was talking to my dad about like university, because
mm.
I'm a senior in high school. I'm going to college next year,
Right, right,
and I decided, live in Las Vegas. I decided I want to stay here.
right,
Um, I don't know where I'm going to be in 4 years. If maybe this podcast goes insane on the third year, and I don't need to go to graduate school and get a master's, or maybe it doesn't, and I do, and I continue my education. I don't know that right now. And my dad's more of like a systemic thinker, right?
mm,
So,
mm.
as in, there are better opportunities if you go to a better university. I don't believe in that though. Uh, I think there's a reason I'm staying here, and I think saying what this opportunity or path could be is useless because I don't know. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow, much less a year.
Right,
So,
right,
especially now with the things going on today, like COVID, like
right,
global warming, we don't know where the world's headed. Um, and so you kind of just, when you accept this, you kind of just have this blind trust in the universe, you know?
right, right,
Um, and I don't mean to say that everything you have in your life, every opportunity, every doorway was handed to you on a plate.
right,
You do have to work for things,
right,
but there's also a side of it that it just appears.
right. True.
You don't choose where you're born, when you're born, to who you're born.
Right,
It just
right.
all sort of trickles down from there. So yeah, we were talking about that because he's not very happy,
Mm,
and I understand that. And I think as a parent, they want you to be better than they were.
right, right.
But I strongly believe in that we all have our own paths.
Absolutely.
Um, and now, if we want to get into a different kind of conversation, uh, I also don't think college is what it's being sold to be. Because let's say an Ivy League school is 5 times better than a top 500 university.
Okay.
Let's say it's 5 times better.
Okay.
It's also costing you 20 times the amount.
Fact.
Are you getting the value out of it? You didn't take the traditional path. And you were probably on a higher level of thinking.
I appreciate that.
We might not have, I feel like there's a difference between having knowledge and being smart.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Because you can know a shit bunch about chemical
Hmm.
engineering. You can know a
Hmm.
lot about whatever. But I think intelligence is being able to apply those things and
Right.
knowing how to think.
Right.
And I don't think that's taught to you in university nowadays.
No, definitely.
So, as someone who didn't take that traditional path and decided to find yourself after high school, what are your opinions on university?
If your parents are willing to give you that ride, that free ride where you don't have to go into debt, they're willing to pay for it, definitely take it. Definitely take that opportunity. You can meet your soulmate. You could meet lifelong friends.
Right?
Um, so definitely, I would definitely take that opportunity. If you're doing it as a career standpoint, before the internet, I would say yes, it's much needed to be a professional with a degree. It's much more prevalent now. Even with me, just being able to communicate and be able to have good conversations with people.
Right.
Uh, you could look like you went to college without just having a simple conversation.
My
So,
favorite example of this is George Carlin.
huh,
Because
huh,
if you hear him talk,
uh-huh,
that's got to
right,
be one of the most educated dudes I've ever seen.
right,
His
right.
vocabulary, the way he structures his thoughts, it's insane. And he didn't go to college. I'm
Right.
not saying that's how it would be for everybody, but I'm
I
just saying
mean,
it's not
a lot of the CEOs today, the
dropped out.
real self-made, yeah, the
Yeah,
self-made, they're all self-educated. They all realize that education is a lifelong process. Being a student, being
mm.
open-minded to growth, to adaptation, to a new way of thinking is inevitable with the people that produce at a high level.
It's not
And
something that is 4 years and you're done.
right,
You're
exactly,
always
exactly,
learning.
exactly. Yeah, I feel like even if you're 90, people are still
Of
saying that
course.
they're still learning stuff, and it's an amazing thing that we chose to come at this time to experience technology where we can talk to people across the planet. It's amazing that we come at a time where um, the the abundance of food is an actual problem rather than starvation. Like people are actually dying of overeating for the first time
Right.
ever in history. So like there's a lot of paradigms that we overcame that is worth celebrating. It's definitely worth celebrating. But to say that we're done working, that the systems that we have are what we deserve or what we're gonna keep, and it's it's hard that like people say make America great again. People say like they want to go back to the good old days. You know what I mean? They want to go back to the past, their comfortable past, but realizing the comfortable past is what made the uncomfortable present. And if we don't just change a little bit, just if we don't have the last 4 years, if nobody did the same thing they did the last 4 years, they would have a completely different next 4 years. And it
Yeah.
would be so much more happier, so much more so like
You
self-fulfilling.
gotta move with the times,
You know,
or
Eh,
you're gonna be left behind.
And I love that the times that we are experiencing is, yo, wake up or get left behind. Like we're experiencing a time where like the people that are educated are willing to educate the uneducated. A lot
And
of
what's
periods.
I was just gonna say, what's crazy is we talk about the age of information, but I don't think we've really captured just how much we have available to us, like how much it's been facilitated. Like I was reading this book which is on the history of philosophy, and just a couple thousands of years ago, the first philosophers were wondering what were the basic elements of life. Like for example, some
Mm,
thought it was water, uh, like earth, like dirt, and sunlight. And these were the things that created trees, animals, humans. Everything was created from these three basic elements. Some thought it was just water. Like these, they were just getting started on this.
right. Mm.
And now we have all these teachings, we have all this science, all this math, and I think we're dumber than ever. Um, and this is where I was sort of gonna tie it back to university. Number one, I think America has made higher education a business, not because of how much it costs, but for example, there are college football stadiums that are bigger than NFL stadiums.
Right, right.
Number one,
Yep.
where sports has that kind of importance. In Europe, colleges don't have teams like that.
Mm,
If you want to be an athlete, you play for a club.
right.
You don't go to college for it. Um, and two, and I think this is in all education, we're not taught how to think. People complain a lot about the education system, about it doesn't teach us money management. It doesn't teach us finance. It doesn't teach us how to pay taxes. And I think a side of that is fair, but I think that's not the core issue. I think teaching math and history is super important. Math teaches you how to solve problems, how to reason, how to go step by step. History is extremely important. I mean, we wouldn't be having the conversation we're having right now if we didn't have any education in history. But
But ultimately,
I was just going to
ultimately,
say
yeah,
it's
yeah,
more
sorry.
important to know how to think, to know how to apply the knowledge you're given.
Exactly,
You can have all
exactly.
this knowledge. If you don't know how to think, you don't know how to
Right,
apply it.
right.
Um,
And ultimately, that's the punchline. They can tell us what to think all day long, but unless they teach us how to think, how to apply it, how to interpret it in our own way, how to,
it's useless.
uh, it's useless. Exactly, exactly. And if like they don't teach people how to read, write, think, like critically think on their free time when they're bored, quote unquote, then like we are gonna lead into a consumer dystopia where people just are okay with the 9 to 5, just doing their day to
And
day, reproducing.
and that's the whole consumer thing I was going to go into. I just saw this video the other day of this girl who recorded herself opening her admission to some top university,
Mhm,
and she didn't
mhm.
get in, and she started crying. And if she ever finds this in the future, I'm sorry, but it's like, what are you crying for?
Mm, mm,
Your dream school, like,
mm,
why? What were they going to give you that was going to
right,
be so good to you? Like, if you want to live in Chicago, move to Chicago. You don't got to go to the
right,
university there.
right,
It's just these kind of things. We get people we've been sold a lifestyle,
right, right,
which that's just not, you can't have one set lifestyle. You can't have one set way of living. And then I was just reading today how different universities also have different admission processes. Some value aptitude tests more than grades. Some value extracurriculars. Some value if you had a parent that went to the school, that'll increase your chances. Uh, there's not just one solid higher education. It's all a name. And maybe I'm getting very biased. Possibly. I'm aware of that. But
What?
I I don't think it's there. I don't think we're educating people right, because we wouldn't have the problems we have today if people were truly educated. We wouldn't have vaccine conspiracy theories that they're going to kill you, or they're. Anyways, you can go into Agenda 21 later because I would like to talk about that. But yeah, sorry, go for it.
What bothers me about people that go to college and they assume that what they learn in college is the know all be all. The way of
Right.
thinking, the philosophies they consumed in college is the right philosophies. It does bother me because, like, you can look up anything that anybody in any year of their college career is studying on the internet, and you can study it right now pretty much for free as long as you just are interested and know the topics.
There's
And
a whole
like
Stanford encyclopedia of philosophy, and
for
everything
free.
is there for free. Just gotta click
Exactly.
on it.
Exactly. So
Stanford,
like
Stanford.
the fact that we can get Stanford type education by a simple Google search, and people are at home spending 8 hours a day playing video games and watching Netflix is uh, uh,
Baffling.
another pandemic, we can call it. It's another pandemic. It's a war on consciousness. And the food, the processed food that we're eating, that we don't even know really what we're eating. Um, the media that's always fear based, and our education system that teaches us what to think, not how to think. Uh, these are very core topics, like deep rooted in our society. That if more people, more families, more communities, more, if it was just more locally rather than people just saying, "Oh, leave it up to the government, leave it up to the president, leave it up, leave it up, leave it up, leave it up to God, leave it up to everybody else." And I hope it gets better. If we just start talking about it like at our dinner tables, you know what I mean? It would completely change the evolutionary course of humanity.
And another thing about how you can get a solid education at home for comparing to just going to college. You don't get the degree, but I mean, if you wanted to just learn, you could.
Right,
But
right.
another thing is that I feel like how many kids are even going to college to learn? How many are
Right.
going just because it's their parents left them no choice, or they want to get away from home, or they want to do drugs and drink and party? That's no environment for an education.
Right.
Um, and these organizations are conscious of that. They know that. They know that stuff happens. Um, the
The fact that
drinking and the
alcohol is
parties.
like one of the biggest sponsors at the football games. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
And the fact
they
that alcohol has become so normalized as if it isn't one of the most dangerous drugs is just insane to me.
I keep debating with my cousins. Like I want to keep praying that we're going into a utopia where it's gonna be. You've seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen the first one when he was like at that like planet with like the fountains and stuff, and he got arrested and shit.
I
Like
don't remember. I
a
don't remember
planet
that
like
much.
that though. So where it's like just like it's all green, it got it's hella high tech, aliens, but like we just or a Wakanda, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh
Wakana's lit.
you know what I
I could
mean? So
mess with a Wakanda.
we could the planet could look like that in the next by 2050 if
If
we
we do it
really
right.
worked, if we do it right. Or it could look like a Ready Player One, a Terminator, a iRobot also. And if people
Or it
don't
could look
have
like
these
nothing.
discussions, exactly.
We could just
Or
leave
we
this
can,
place.
yeah, yeah.
It
The
might.
100, the 100. You should watch that show. That's it.
I've seen it.
Oh, so you seen it, bro. Like,
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
could, it could be that type of experience with the pyramids. It's proven like that physics is real, that type of cryogenics, that space travel, that time
Well,
travel, the lasers.
so so I'm normally a skeptic about things, which
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
might be good, might not be
Yeah,
good. But
absolutely. Absolutely. It's good.
yeah,
It's good.
but like we were talking about the whole speed of light thing, matching the
Hmm.
coordinates of the pyramids.
Hmm.
All of
Hmm.
that sounds kind of surreal, kind of just crazy coincidence. But I am curious about the hieroglyphs, which seem to show these sort of, I don't want to say godlike because you don't really know, but they're not human.
So, Thoth. Thoth is the god, one of the main gods. And it honestly, it looked like if you take all the Bible, the Quran, and all these other things, it lines up with the hieroglyphs in the pyramids. It's crazy. So they're saying that they're saying that these gods, pretty much all those star systems that we associate with, like Orion, but you know how they all have their own star systems. Supposedly, all those star systems really have a civilization. They have some type of people living on those planets because supposedly every star that you look up in the sky has planets. And if just one out of 1 million of those planets have life, there would be millions of planets in the solar system and the Milky Way alone with life, with intelligent
The
life,
Fermi
and
paradox.
the Fermi paradox, exactly. And supposedly, with the mass and the weight of the pyramid, with the location of it on the Earth, and the fact that it's above a water aquifer, and the fact that the certain type of rocks that they use, which was limestone or something, some of the stones inside the pyramids were magnetic, and that it creates electromagnetic energy naturally. So it's basically because of where the pyramids are, where it's located, the weight, and uh, just everything, that it basically makes Earth a giant battery. And to say that all those things is something that we can figure out here on Earth is kind of outlandish. It's kind of even to say to those things being connected to even say that those are real, to that saying that's outlandish. Um, to say that 100-ton stones, that the closest limestone in the entire Giza plateau is 100 miles away from where the pyramids are built, but they have 100-ton stones in the pyramids is pretty outlandish. To say that they did it all with chisels, having fucking mammoths with those fucking, it's like those big ass elephants, but they're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
To have those be pulling shit with logs under it as wheels, it seems outlandish. Like, um, the fact that the Mayans had the same type of pyramidal structure, way of building, the way of astronomy that the Mayans had. The fact that there is an Egyptian mummy that had like traces of cocaine, and cocaine or the coca leaf is only native in South America. So that means the Egyptians had travel to the South Americas, and we didn't believe that. And growing up in school in the last 20, 50, 60 years, that the people that came to Americas came from the Russian Strait. But really, they're thinking that we have no clue why the people in Australia have the same genomes as the people in South America. And we have no clue why these things are, but science has proven it. Science has proven that everything is connected, that we might have been genetically modified by a smarter, intelligent civilization to mine gold. Gold is the only element in the entire universe that we know on the periodic table that doesn't rust. It shields from radiation. You can eat it. Um,
I didn't know these things.
it could mold into anything. That's why Mansa
When I think
Musa.
gold, I just think some grills or some rings or something. I don't think about all that.
But see, like it has all these like properties. Like it's a really really strong conductor. It it can be an anti-conductor. Like it could be like I'm not sure like the real like science of it, but that's that's why I think we value value these elements, that these rocks, resources. I
I
think
guess
that's why
that's a
we.
deeper explanation than they just look pretty.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Uh,
But then again, like maybe this might be stupid to say, but if you want to say from like a philosophical standpoint, um, gold being shiny or pretty, that doesn't really mean anything. You can make if the first person to try and sell some sort of jewelry made out of just a basic rock, they could have said that was pretty.
right.
Um, all of that is subjective, so maybe there is a deeper meaning to it.
I seen this thing that we value stuff that is rare. Um, Purple, the color purple before it was before they can actually like have purple dye. The only way you can get purple dye is from this snail in the Red Sea, and it had a purple shell. And to get 1 ounce of this purple dye, you had to crush 200,000 snails, right? And
Yeah.
the reason why no flags in the entire world has purple in their flag is because purple was so rare that only royalty was associated with purple. And the only reason it was so like valued, that it was valued more than gold, is just because of the rarity. The reason why diamonds are so much worth so much is because the people that own the diamond companies artificially inflate the prices, saying, "Oh, we have a limited supply,
There's a
so we
movie
only."
called Blood Diamond
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
that
and
talks about that.
that's exactly what the industry does. That's what Supreme does. Like they will purposely have a limited supply of T-shirts just so the resale market is a resale market. That's why like Diamond Supply or Obey doesn't resell, is because they're constantly just pumping out shit. But Supreme will have a limited selection for that. The same with art. The reason why art goes up in price is because the artist might pass away, or the artist will say, "I'm never remaking this."
There's
Like,
only one copy.
exactly. And that's why us beings hold value to these material objects, because they're so rare.
Yeah.
And gold is something that we can't turn lead into gold. Like it would take too long. It's just not, the physics don't fucking work out. So like unless we start mining asteroids, which is a very possible reality in our next 10 years, 20 years, definitely. me and you can definitely be some asteroid mining entrepreneurs in the next 20, 30 years for sure. Uh, but supposedly the people that made the pyramids are the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki came from the Orion star system, and they're just like 13-foot us, 14-foot us, and they taught us mathematics, they taught us language, they taught us irrigation and farming, they taught us society, culture. Um, Basically, if you've seen the 100, or pretty much any religion talks about gods coming from the sky and giving us technology, information, their genetics, or some type of knowledge that furthered our humanity's story.
I
And
need to um I guess I'm contradicting myself because we literally were talking earlier about how if you want to learn something, you can just access it on the internet.
right,
But when I go to college, I'm majoring in philosophy because I think that's what's gonna teach me how to think better.
right,
I want to take a class on religious philosophy and learn more about the origin of these religious thoughts.
right,
Because I believe in a God, but I don't believe in like the God that we've been presented with the
right,
Bible, for
right,
example.
right.
I think those are all like human constructs. But I guess that's something I'll learn about later on, which is also an excuse because I could learn about it right now. But yeah, I mean, again, it all ties back to that same thing. One, everything is connected, and two, there's something bigger than us. It can't just be us. But I feel like, and damn, I didn't even realize, but like what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation, we are going to transition into this higher level of consciousness. It's possible. But right now, I feel like people are so worried about petty shit going on in the world, like politics, like stuff in politics
True.
and the news and money and jobs and all these. I mean, obviously they're important, they're necessary aspects of life, but
So I'm gonna
sorry, go
hit you
ahead.
with a real philosophical question then.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you much rather talk about the new way of consciousness than the price tag of the college degree, why talk about it? Why
Like, why
talk
go?
about well why educate yourself on politics when you know that the political system is flawed and the educational system
So
is the priority?
there's this well, the education system can only be changed through politics. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. And there's this
Sucks to say.
there's this
Fuck.
it was a Greek philosopher that said like if you don't participate in politics or in your government or whatever, you're gonna be you're gonna be ruled by idiots.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
like I said.
and so while my brain might be in this different level of thinking that just doesn't care that much about the little things going on,
Mhm.
that's I think that's even more reason for people like us to participate.
Mm.
Because unfortunately, we have to work with the system that we have.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and that's the only way we create change. But
Right.
I just, bro, what I be asking myself is, what are politicians gonna look like in 30 years when they're gonna have their whole lives documented on the internet? Like the old politicians, they could hide their past, but you're not gonna be able to
I
anymore.
I think they're gonna be bred. I think leaders will be bred.
What do you mean by that?
that the same reason athletes are bred. Like, the parents knew before the kid was even born, oh, they're going to be an athlete, or oh, they're going to be a politician, or oh, they're going to be a leader. Oh, they're gonna.
You
I'm
believe
gonna
in
make
that?
sure. Oh, absolutely. I absolutely believe that. Like, as soon as a parent sees at 3 years old that they're the upper percentile and like their weight and size, they're gonna go, oh, maybe they have the possibility to be athletic. I'm gonna start putting them in sports. Like, and they purposely train them as a young kid because that's
Yeah.
all they know. Like, think of Ronaldo. He's been. It took him 13 years to be an overnight success, but it took him 13 years since a little kid of training and training and training. Kobe training, training and training. Like any of these, Elon, like they just sat in the room and trained, trained and trained and trained. And I think that's what same with the princes and the kings and queens and past history is that they're just bred. They're always royalty. They always knew it. That's all they knew. They never did no wrong. They were always the perfect child, the prodigies. The I think those are the people that are going to be ruling society because ultimately, if people go on the way of consuming media, how they are today and 20 years from now, they're going to be a lot of puppets. It's going to be a lot of brainwashed people. It's not going to be
We already have
critical
that.
thinkings. Exactly, but it's not going
I
to
mean,
be. It's going to be like
people.
you seen the Fifth Element? Good ass movie. Good ass movie. It's going to be like the Fifth Element
It's
or like
scary
Blade
how
Runner or something.
people just nowadays people just believe the first thing they see on TikTok. They're just like, "Oh, damn!" It's the whole confirmation bias thing.
Right.
But what? Shit. You were talking about like breeding athletes and such. I was just gonna say how like the people that have the most power, the most money, the most successful, were never really chasing that level of success. And I believe in this statement that if you're chasing, it's running.
Right.
Um, and like Steve Jobs dropped out of college and just started putting parts together in his garage. Warren Buffett, probably the most successful investor, stock trader, whatever in the world. I mean, it was something he did since he was 6 years old. He would trade
Exactly.
little Coca-Cola bottle caps or whatever they said it was. Like he was
Exactly.
always trading and doing these things until he was like, damn, I'm pretty good at it. I can make a
Right.
job out of it.
Right.
Messi was playing with the soccer ball under his desk
Right.
while he went to school.
Right.
And we have a whole lot of chasing going on. And it's because we aren't taught how to think. We're not taught how to ask questions. We don't have like personal awareness of what we want and what we love. And we have a whole bunch of people chasing money and chasing status and chasing material things instead of just, the most there. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of millionaires in the world, but there's not a whole lot of billionaires. And I'm not saying again, maybe I'm being a hypocrite by measuring by their money, but I'm just saying the ultra successful people just did what they enjoyed, just did what they were passionate about. And then there's a whole lot of rich people in between that just got rich chasing some sort of path. So I think if you do what you love, you'll be successful anyways. So I don't know how we would. I guess I don't know how we would breed leaders.
I think we have to redefine success. I think
Mm,
because so many people think the car, the house, the private jet, the vacations is success rather than happiness, family, um, higher education where you are constantly learning, um, a connectiveness with nature, like something like stuff that's really free that we deserve, we should all experience, but like we use materialism as the definition of the
Success.
standard,
Yeah.
the standard of success. Yeah.
I think under like a human level, I think success is like being happy, which
Right.
could also have a lot of different definitions.
Right. Right.
And I think that's different for everybody. But just being happy, uh, being free, knowing yourself, knowing what you love, I think that's successful enough. And then under a more societal standpoint, I think success is just being able to sustain yourself doing what you want to do.
Right.
You don't have to be a millionaire. Say you could be making $80,000 a year. But if you're doing what you love, I'd rather have that than make 3 times as much not wanting to do what I have to do every day.
Right. Right.
I think that's success. But we don't teach those things.
Our parents don't think that's success, so it's kind of hard for us to think. It's
But
kind
they
of
were
hard
also
for us to
raised very
say.
differently.
Yeah, exactly. But even though that they've been raised very differently, they're very easily to hold on to their value systems and beliefs. Even though that
Yeah.
technology is proving that belief systems and habits can prohibit growth. If it just comes down to education, being open-minded enough to like challenge your beliefs, to challenge your philosophies, to or like make them more a better foundation where you can articulate your argument better. Like it would solve so many problems in households. Like there's so many household beefs on old perceptions and belief systems that their parents passed on to them, and they just grew up, oh, my parents beefing, so I don't like my cousin.
Well,
Like it's
one thing I
crazy.
do believe in, one thing I do strongly believe in, is that our generation is, maybe this is stupid, but I think our generation will sort of break toxic parenting.
Definitely,
Not fully. I can definitely see a lot of people that are going to be like the future Karens. Um, but I think there's a lot of kids that have grown up with like difficult households and toxic parenting, but they know that.
Yeah.
And I think when our parents had toxic parents, they thought it was normal.
Right.
So
Right.
it sort of was ingrained into them. But I think we'll raise better kids in the future. Just today I saw this post on Instagram. In fact, probably like 15 minutes before I called you. And it was this thing called environmental racism.
Interesting.
And I've said this multiple times on the podcast. I'm a leftist, I lean liberal, I lean Democrat, whatever you want to say. But I think all extremes are bad. Extreme left, extreme right, whatever. And it was this thing that said, like, we can't have global justice, or we can't have like climate justice if we don't have racial justice. And it was like trying to say that African Americans were the most, and I'm not racist, but I'm just saying, it said like African Americans were the most affected during Hurricane Katrina. It's like, so were we supposed to redirect Hurricane Katrina to target white neighborhoods? Like, what were we supposed to do with that? Just because more African American people live in the South? Like, that just,
I got a question
sort of
for you.
things.
What's the difference between racist and biased?
Well, I think,
Because
racist would just apply to race, and then bias could be a bunch of things.
because somebody was saying that, like, okay, you look at a chair and you go, oh, that chair isn't as comfortable as this other chair. That's basically being racist. That's what somebody was trying to explain to me. But I'm like, is that bias or being racist?
I don't think that's racist. I think people try to connect too many things to race.
Huh.
Like for example,
See,
like what I was saying, this environmental justice thing. It's like, for example, in Nevada, they have like, I don't know if it's nuclear waste, I don't know what it is, but they have that one place where there's
on
a
the
bunch of
mountain.
waste.
Right.
Yeah. And it's polluting like crazy.
Right.
I could perfectly say that's like discriminating against Las Vegas residents. But that's
Oh,
stupid to say. They just chose that spot.
hmm,
It's like, I don't
yeah,
think it's directed towards anyone.
hmm,
It's not a race issue. It's a global issue. We're polluting our planet. We're not polluting the whites, African Americans, Asians. Like, we're polluting everybody. And it's like, why are we trying to create a racial problem out of everything? Like, where does that lead you?
I think you know what people should really be worried about instead of people in America that are worried about the Chinese or the Mexicans stealing their jobs is that they should be worrying about the machines and algorithms. They should be
And that's it.
worrying
That's an
about
interesting one because being Hispanic, you know, a lot of people say Mexicans take their jobs, but
right,
the same people that
being
say that,
Chinese. Everybody exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
the same people that say that wouldn't be willing to take those jobs if they could.
Right, facts,
Um, and it's nothing
facts.
but respect to the work ethic of
Yep,
the Mexican culture and the Chinese culture.
yep.
Um, but
They
I
actually
think
said that.
I just think we're being more racist, trying to make everything a problem about race instead of just thinking about humans.
So this is something that we've been fighting on. I think about it in the animal kingdom. If you look different, if you have a different color wool, you were exiled. You know what I mean? So it's very primal. It's very
Like the ugly duckling type thing.
exactly, exactly.
Mm.
The it's very primal, and I feel like a lot of animals experienced it. So we're not the only, but higher way of
We are
thinking, getting
animals.
out of, but getting out of survival, we can go into creative ways of consciousness. We can create art rather than war. You know what I mean? So um, I feel like it's very common to have tribalism. It's
Yeah,
very, very common in the animal system to have tribalism. But seeing, like you're saying, us as a species rather than skin tone is it's definitely what our children at least are gonna experience.
yeah. I'm not even gonna like. I shouldn't even be talking about this because I'm 17 years old. But if I have kids, hopefully I do. I'm I'm not gonna teach them what race is until they're old enough to understand it.
Right, right,
But if you're teaching them when they're like 3 years old and they're making like friends of different colors and shit, and they're already starting to learn to see different colors, I think
right,
that's an issue.
right.
Like the doll test. I don't know if you've ever seen that,
I have.
but it's like, and then they recorded the mom crying after, like, I never taught my kid to be racist. It's like a
You
kid
did?
doesn't know the difference.
Right.
A kid would never tell the difference.
Well, that's why you can have any ethnicity person grow up in a different country as their ethnicity and still learn their language. It's like our
Of
genetics
course.
aren't our genetics aren't destined. You know what I mean? They're subject to change through the experience that we have.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's something called feral kids, which are like kids that are just abandoned in a
What's that?
jungle and they're raised
What?
with animals.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
let me search it up to make sure I'm not speaking some bullshit, but I know it's
It's
real.
a feral kids?
Yeah, Feral, feral kids.
Interesting.
A feral child. A feral child is a human child who has lived isolated from human contact since a very young age. So they don't know anything about human care, behavior, or language. And
Interesting.
they've been raised with animals. And they walk on four
That's
limbs.
crazy. That's crazy.
And they don't speak.
What?
Like, so it's like what you're saying. Like, you could raise a Chinese kid in South America, he's going to learn Spanish.
Right. Right.
Like, you can
Right.
raise a kid to be whatever you want, really, which
Right.
sounds really fucked
Right.
up. Sounds really fucked up because you can train him to
And
be anything.
but you know what's
But
crazy? What's even more fucked up is that the people with the higher education, the royalty, the philosophers, the professors, pretty much decided how communities, culture, philosophies were going to be throughout all of human history. And it's just so happened in these last 20 years that all of it is now in a centralized place, which is the internet.
Facts. I
So
mean,
now, so people keep fighting on me that with the internet, you literally have everything at the palm of your fingers. But our grandchildren will never experience a reality of lack. We will always
yeah,
have the technological ability to produce, and
yeah. I
throughout
mean,
hu-
which sounds kind of sad because, like, I think my age, kids that were born in like 2003, 2004,
Mhm,
2002, were like the
mhm,
last kids to have those young age of their childhood without iPads or,
yeah,
we had TV, but not a lot. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of, even 20 years back, they had TV. But
video
like,
games,
we
like
had normal childhoods
right,
for the
playing
most part. Oh,
outside,
exactly. Which the
right,
younger kids are going to have less and less of. Um,
exactly.
or like I was just thinking today, I went to the doctor's office today. I had to get a second dose of a meningitis vaccine. I wish it would have been the
Mm,
COVID vaccine. I'd be so done with this
mm,
shit. But
mm, mm,
um
mm. Facts,
um
facts.
and this kid, I think he was my age. He must have been around my age. Just by the way he was dressed,
Uh-huh,
it's kind of like our style. Um
right.
Bros hopped in the doctor's office and was just scrolling through his phone on social media. I was like, just think to myself, bro, they had I'm under 18, so I go to pediatrics, bro. They had Baby Shark playing on TV. Like, you're just gonna sit
That's
there for
funny.
5 minutes. You gotta go on your phone. Like, it's five
Yeah,
minutes, bro.
yeah,
Like, when my dad was a kid, all he had for entertainment were books.
right, right.
You could have just go on your phone and scroll. It's like,
The fact that we have a society where if they're sitting at dinner, they much rather, if somebody at the table pulls out their phone, they'd much rather pull out their phone for the 5 minutes instead of just sit there for 5 minutes. You know what
you
I
don't even
mean?
have to talk.
Exactly, exactly. Or like the fact that you'll be sitting at the table with your friends, not talking, and you guys are all on your phone, just with each other, but not even communicating with each
And we
other.
make excuses for it. We
Right.
make excuses for it, like, oh, you might make a memory, you want to record it. It's like, I think you can't, like, if you're recording it, you're already missing out.
Excuse me.
You're already not
Interesting.
fully there.
Hmm.
um I don't know, but we're
So,
just so dependent. We're so dependent, and fuck, I can't even, this conversation's, it's been a little rambly, but it's
yeah,
transitioning like crazy because I also wanted to
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
drug rehabilitation. um
right,
like, for example, drugs are addictive,
right.
but a phone isn't. Like, it's not like a phone has nicotine, but that's definitely an addiction. Like, if you are dependent on your phone, like, you sit down at a waiting room and you can't sit there for 5 minutes just looking at the lights or something, you have to go on your phone. That's an
Right.
addiction.
Right.
You can't go a day without it.
What's your
And
take on
I'm guilty of
addiction?
this too. Don't get it twisted.
What's your take on addiction? You think it's
Um,
genetic? You think it's by dependencies, like you're building up a tolerance where your body craves it?
I definitely,
You think
I think
what's your
it's an
take?
assortment of things. I think it's a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
Genetics, I don't know. Like, for example, there are people that say I have an addictive personality.
Right, right,
Um, and with some friends, I guess I can see that. Like, some kids would not even want to try shit, and some kids, like, have more addictive personalities. I don't know, but I think any sort of habit is addictive. Like, I mean, it depends. If you really want to go crazy with it, you could say brushing your teeth is addictive because you do it every day.
Oh, absolutely. The
But
Power
I
of
don't know if that's
Habit.
just a habit or addiction.
So, The Power of Habit is a great book I highly suggest. But back in the
Write that
early
down.
30s, they Colgate or whoever stumbled upon this chemical called fluoride, and fluoride makes your teeth all tingly. So they're all like, before in the chemical lab, when they first introduced toothpaste, they're all like, it wasn't it wasn't addictive. Like people didn't really care for it. Didn't really change people's habits. But once people they started marketing, oh, did you get that freshy cool feeling in your mouth? If you didn't get that freshy cool feeling in your mouth, that means your mouth isn't clean. So they actually made it where they had a societal change of consciousness as people getting addicted to that tingling feeling in their mouth, and they literally started a new habit of brushing your teeth. And
Like you're only
they
really brushing them if you get that feeling.
exactly. Well, that's how they marketed it back in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
early, and that's how they literally
Like that
rewrote.
minty.
Exactly. But that's how they rewrote people's chemical hard wiring as, okay, this is my habit now. This is my thing. There's a study,
But thankfully,
uh,
that sort of thing isn't dangerous.
uh,
It actually
fluoride.
helps us.
Fluoride is a topic of debate if it's healthy
But
for
isn't
us.
that why? That's why we spit it out.
Yes, but again, research into fluoride highly suggests that too. Um, but there's this study that we are addictive at nature, right? Um, they put a rat in a cage, and there was two vials of water. One was regular water, and one had cocaine water. And almost every single time, and it was only that rat and those water. That's all the rat can do. And almost every single time the rat OD'd. And the scientists are all like, yep, we're just got addictive brains. We're just gonna always overdose. We're always gonna just go to like the pleasure and just die. And then a philosopher like looked at the study and was all like confused. He's like, but that's not really how humans are. Like they they have cities, they have people to converse with, they have stuff like this. They're like like humans aren't just locked up in their room and have to decide if they're gonna do cocaine or not. So what the philosopher did is built a rat park where put a bunch of rats, put a bunch of play areas. They can fuck all the time, put all the food, and not one single rat OD'd. And the only time the rat did the cocaine water was just to get fucked up. Strictly just to get fucked up.
That's kind of
Never, not,
nuts.
bro, it's not. So they did
I
another
mean, that
study.
kind of explains. Like they say that a lot of people that I know. I don't know if you've heard of Russell Brand.
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh,
He talks a lot about he's an ex addict.
uh-huh.
Um,
I didn't
and
know
it
that.
talks a
Yeah,
lot about how like people that get into these sort of drugs were probably at a very bad emotional state when they
right,
did them,
right.
when they started. You're
So
at a low point already.
so there's another study at the Vietnam War. So all night they'd give them meth to stay up all night, and then all
Right.
day they would give them heroin to go to sleep. And during the Vietnam War, they're worried like all these soldiers are gonna be coming back fucking all zombied out. And 9 out of 10 of them came back and didn't have to do any rehab at all. Like they exactly.
This is actually
So
true.
yes, well, think
Well, I
about it.
mean, surely
When
they had like withdrawals and some sort of.
no, 9 out of 10 of them had no withdrawals, no nothing, no cravings, nothing. And it's shown that if you take a person in a traumatic environment, like you're saying, that is in a bad place where they have to stay up all night to survive and then sleep all day uh, again to survive, that they're going to have to do what they have to do. But once they go back to being at home with family, being safe, they're good.
If anything, the
That
worst part is like the PTSD you get from war.
right, right. So environment is crucial, and they're saying that The only reason people get addicted to anything, if it's alcohol or weed, it's just because they didn't find connection in human connection. They
I
found that
think
connection in those
I,
chemicals.
I obviously weed doesn't have any like addictive properties. So like if you had to stop doing it tomorrow, you're not gonna have withdrawals. You're not gonna like be like, damn, I need it, you know. But I think weed does have like dependencies.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
depend on weed to be relaxed.
yeah,
You depend on weed to be happier, or to feel music a little more. It's more of like a dependency thing.
definitely. Which on a
Which
same
dependency could
paradigm
also be an
could
addiction.
exactly.
Yeah,
Which on the same paradigm they kind of go hand in hand.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a thin line of a release and a crutch. You know what I mean? Very, very big difference between those two, a release and a crutch.
What do you mean by that? A release and a crutch?
So it could be like a pastime. Sitting by the fire, drinking a tea could be a release. You know what I mean? Uh, Having a beer every single time you come home from work could be a crutch.
Okay. So
You know
kind
what
of
I
like
mean?
unhealthy and healthy.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've lost a lot of my healthy habits. Um, Quarantine sort of helped me discover healthy habits, and then it made me lose them. Uh, like meditation.
That's the spiritual journey, of course.
Yeah, like I used to meditate every day over the summer.
Huh,
That shit was good
huh,
for me. That shit was
huh,
good for me.
huh.
Um, and now I'm back to going to sleep at 1 in the morning and not meditating, not doing shit. And it's like at least I know it's bad for me. At least I know when I start falling off, when I'm leaving my habits. Like I know, so I know I have to change something. It's not like I'm comfortable with it.
And that's
It's hard to
the
get back
biggest
on.
thing.
It's hard
And
to
that's
get back on.
but the fact that you're consciously saying, "Hey, I want to get back on. Like I felt better." Like, bro, that's
But then
huge,
again,
bro.
it's like, for example, I'm not surrounded. And again, I hate complaining because, and you too, you had your best friend. We've all heard stories
Right,
of other people's lives where it's like,
right,
holy shit, like
right, right.
we've
We
had
got
it
it good.
all.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
got
we
it
got it
good.
good.
Yeah,
We got it good.
yeah, yeah.
But like, I'm a very social person, and like quarantine has been difficult for me. And like, you're not surrounded by going to school every day and seeing your friends and going out.
Right, right.
Um, so it's like the same thing. Like it's hard to break out of those habits when you don't have that regular lifestyle. But
Right.
yeah, bro, I need to get back on my
Routine
meditations.
routine is so important. Like it doesn't have to be like so strict that it's like a prison and we like this is like the only way we can live our life. No, but just like having just like, hey, at 9 p.m. every single day, I want to just do a workout. Or
Yeah,
at 8 a.m. every single morning, I want to have a gratitude prayer I do for myself. Something, you know what I mean? Just
I
uh,
you're not. I don't think you don't consider yourself exactly a religious person. Like you don't
no,
follow Christianity or you don't follow Islam. You're
no,
more spiritual.
right, right,
But you like to study all of them. So,
right, right.
what would you consider prayer?
Prayer is, uh, I feel there's a lot of different forms of prayer. I feel like the highest prayer is thanking God for thanking whatever your God
What
is.
God?
Uh, um, it could be Jesus,
Whatever
Allah,
you think it
Buddha,
is.
whatever you think the universal source energy is, wherever it come from, wherever you believe in, just saying thank you for being alive. Thank you for water. Thank you for my bed. Thank you for my parents. I feel like it's the highest form of prayer. Even if you're saying thank you for the car that you don't have, just saying thank you for it existing, just like paying it forward, like basically inviting it into your life by already saying you will have it. So like if you and your parents are arguing, just say thank you God for having a healthy relationship that I have with my parents. Even though you're like you're just paying the gratitude forward, you're paying the love forward. I feel like that's the highest form of prayer because when you say God, I want this, I want that, I want this, it's basically saying like God, I don't
You don't
have
have
this.
enough.
Exactly. Why aren't you giving it to me? Like God, come on, like I want this. Like so I feel like the highest form of prayer is saying like thank you. Like thank you for the car of my dreams. Thank you for the wife of my dreams. Thank you for um the family that supports me. Like just paying it like even if it's not there, visualizing it, feeling what it would feel like if you when you had them. I feel like those are the highest ways to talk to your higher self, your God, your spirit, your source.
Damn.
Definitely. I feel like definitely the highest. But again, like meditation uh could be a prayer. Uh
I think I've only prayed once.
so I don't so I never grew up religious. And so I never really prayed ever my entire life, but every single time I have prayed, literally, it happened within 5 minutes. The answer was there, so clear. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Do you
Like,
think
creep
it's
me the fuck up.
yourself giving that answer,
So,
getting it?
I absolutely believe so. We have this thing in our brain called the reticulating activating system, and that's when
Yeah.
you go to the mall and you go, man, like these shoes are dope. Like I never seen nobody with these shoes. Like I'm gonna be fresh as fuck. You start rocking them shoes, and then you start seeing everybody have them. You're like, oh, that person got them. Oh, that person got them. Like, what? How come? Where do these people? Or like you see a car that your mom got or something, and then you start seeing those cars everywhere driving around. You're like, fuck, like where all these cars come from? And it's those cars have always been there. It's just that our brain is choosing to look for them. So I think it's just our brain choosing to look for those answers that we're praying for, that we're purposely creating questions in our subconscious
You're
for our
putting yourself
environment.
in the position to get the answers.
Exactly, exactly. You're
Okay.
you're making yourself open enough to put yourself in opportunities to get those answers.
Right. I think I prayed once, and it was literally over this summer, and um I, I was just like, don't talk about anything that that's too human because a God wouldn't understand it.
Mm, mm,
Like I mean, like things like for what like what you're saying, gratitude
mm,
or love, these
mm,
sort of higher powers, not
right,
like damn, like I want a video game,
right,
or
right,
things that like a
right,
God would have no idea what the fuck that is.
right,
Like a God is on a different level. They don't
right.
understand phones or the internet or social media. Um, yeah, I think I prayed for love or some shit. Um,
Nice, nice.
I don't know if it worked, but uh, but meditation. I think meditation and prayer might be very similar, except meditation is more like not thinking.
Meditation is a crazy, crazy technology. Crazy, crazy technology.
And you want to
Uh,
call that a technology?
Absolutely. Yoga is a technology. Fasting is a technology. Um,
It's good
Journaling.
that you use those words because it sort of breaks like social barriers of like
Mm,
technology being like a flashy screen.
mm, mm,
Um,
mm. I feel like our fucking digestive system is a technology, bro. Like,
our whole body,
bro, definitely, bro. I think
and
it's the best.
if anything, it's the best technology. Like
Exactly,
it works in
exactly,
a way that's just insane. Like
exactly.
I don't think we'll ever fully even understand our brains. It's the most
We're
complex computer in the world.
yeah,
Fuck a Mac. Fuck
yeah.
a
We have the
NVIDIA GTX whatever. This
quantum.
shit going crazy.
We have the best quantum computer known to the physical world so far. That's for sure. And
We're
it's
blowing
crazy.
it.
It's crazy, and
Yeah.
it's crazy that we've been having the same brain for the last 150,000 years.
But you know what's crazy? There's also animals that have insane brains. We just don't know
Like
how
a
to
dolphin,
communicate with them.
like the
Dead
dolphins
ass.
have like
Seriously.
exactly
Like they can, I'm pretty sure they
elephants.
can even like read what they're thinking. They can communicate from insane distances. Like
Yep.
they have a level of intelligence that's also surreal.
Right.
It's just different. It's not ours, and we don't know how to communicate with them, so we can't understand what they're thinking.
But I love that it's in our reality. So that technology that it's possible for us to have that ability. It's
Yeah.
possible for us to have an octopus and change colors like a chameleon too. Like there's some animals that can reverse aging where they last 200 years old.
Like a
And
scorpion, I'm pretty sure a scorpion can go like 6 months without water.
that's crazy. That's crazy. And like I truly believe that those laws of physics, those laws of chemistry and biology permeate throughout the entire universe. It doesn't matter what system, what planet, what star we're around. I feel like those are pretty universal.
I don't know why this thought came up to me, but like humans are so smart. Humans have all these incredible qualities. We don't need strength, size, any of these things to survive because we have intelligence that helps us create tools and technology instead. That sets us apart. But it's like the most basic things, like for example, childbirth, are where we're complicated. Like, of course, before we had technology and hospitals and all this shit, a bunch of women would die giving birth. Which doesn't really happen in the animal world. Maybe because our brains came out so big they couldn't push them out of there. But I don't know. I was just thinking about that. Like humans have all these great qualities, but I don't think other animals, like mothers, die during childbirth like human mothers do.
Um, but they do. There's like salmon, you know what I mean? That like will swim all the way up the river just to lay their eggs and then they die. You
Really?
know what I mean? Yeah, there's like a lot of animals, bro, that will do things just for the reproductive system. They would literally sacrifice their lives just so they can give birth.
This is why I think like childbirth and having kids is like one of the most beautiful things in the world.
Absolutely.
And I might be calling people out, but I think people that don't want to have kids are selfish.
Hmm. Interesting.
Uh,
Interesting. That's interesting you say that because then you can say it on the same paradigm as like overpopulation, constantly having kids could be selfish too. That you're taking up more
yeah.
resources on the planet.
Well, I mean, don't have 7 kids. I mean,
Right.
there's a reason. There's a reason one comes out at a time, or
Right. Right.
on the rare occasions 2 and 3 is just super rare.
Right.
But like, I
Right.
mean, a cat or like other animals could have like 6 at a time.
Right. Right.
Maybe there's a reason we only have 1 at a time.
Interesting. Interesting.
So yeah, definitely. But I think having a kid, being able to recreate life, is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And to
Absolutely.
just
So
yeah,
sacred.
I don't know.
It's so sacred.
It is. It is. Yeah, I don't even know what to elaborate on that. I've always thought that like being a father gives me such an illusion. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know. You're older than me. What do you think about that? About being a father in the future? Have these little 4-year-olds
There's
meditating?
yeah, definitely. So That's pretty much, I would have like a currency in my house, like, oh, you have to read 15 pages a day, meditate for 15 minutes, and do like 10 laps in the pool, and that would be my growth for my children for the day. That's their homework for me, or their chores from me.
Do you think that's bad though? Because the way that you discovered that was through yourself. If that is forced on you, do you think that would have a negative
Um,
effect?
Teaching them disciplines, teaching them philosophies, teaching them perspectives, teaching them how to think rather than what to think
Right.
is definitely a pattern I definitely want to instill in my children, to
You don't
just
want
be
them to
able
be
to.
like you.
I mean, like you're like how you're trying to, like, I had to go through my trials and tribulations to get to my, you know what I mean, and you're asking me like, should don't you want your kids to go through those trials and tribulations to find that path like you did?
Hmm.
But ultimately, you don't have to see somebody get hit by a car to know that you have to look both ways. So
Right.
really, as long as my children are well educated, they don't have to go through the trials and tribulations that I had to. As long as I can teach them a way to communicate my articulation, my experience in this reality, and have them not repeat my mistakes or learn from my mistakes and repeat my successes, I've it's definitely uh like we keep talking about the age of information, ignorance is a choice. It would be ultimately their choice if they want to stay ignorant and
Yeah.
have reality be their teacher, or have them be their teacher and them create reality.
Yeah. That's deep.
So
I think
yeah,
for me, most important with my kids is to like not teach them that like anything is taboo. Like I feel like things like shit. This might sound. It's not weird though. It's not like this is me fighting myself. But like things like sex are a normal thing.
right, right, right,
You can teach that to your kids so they
right,
can be responsible. Like I feel like it's easy for a parent to say, no drugs, no
right,
dating until you're 16, no
right,
doing this until you're this old. It's like that doesn't teach them anything though.
right, right.
Teach them
Facts,
why.
facts.
Teach them what it is. Like if you just say a kid no, they're gonna want to fucking try it. Like
Right, right.
um and I yeah, and I like just don't make them think everything is stigmatized. Uh and be free in their thinking. That
See, and
shit's
that
gonna be
goes,
deep, bro.
yeah, that goes
When we
back
have
to
kids,
just teaching them how to think rather than what to think.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
man, holy fuck, that's just crazy to me. Like, I mean, hopefully, if all goes well, like having kids someday or starting a family, like that just seems so out of reach right now.
I'll say it to everybody. I say it to you. If we put our mind to it, bro, it can happen sooner than we believe it.
I hope I don't have kids sooner than I believe. When it comes to that, I hope I take my time. But yeah, man.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely something to be well educated and prepped on.
yeah.
That's definitely
I was talking about this with my dad too. Like some things you just have to learn from your parents. Like for example,
yeah,
money management. Like
yeah.
you better hope you got some parents that are good with their
But
financials,
think
because if
about it.
not, you're not gonna learn, bro.
But think about it. A lot of parents are not financially educated. They're not. They don't have that literacy in
Yeah.
finance at
And for
all.
that, I say I'm blessed because I mean, fuck it. Like my youth years, like once I make my own money and whatever, I'm gonna spend what I need on my necessities and I'm gonna save. Because like,
Right,
what the fuck am I gonna buy some new shoes, buy some this
right,
when I could
right,
save up and in 6 years I could travel. Like I'd
right.
much rather have
Exactly,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And see,
But
but
then again, that
that's
all
a
ties back to
blessing that.
consumerism.
But see, that's a blessing that your dad taught you to be a producer, not a consumer.
I mean, that motherfucker, he would save.
Yeah,
Like, he would just get what he needed, pay his necessities, and then the rest he'd save. And over
right,
the years, it adds up. You don't even got to be making crazy money. Like you just got to be smart with it.
And see, just having that just philosophy is so simple, so fundamental, but it can change people's lives.
Yeah.
It could change the resources of generations to come. If people just say, like, I'm gonna invest my resources into like myself and like pay myself and
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think philosophy is so important. Again, like
yeah.
knowing how to think. I can't wait to just learn more about it. But like, for example, there's a family member who's very educated, has a master's degree in engineering, and he'd be sending me shit about like anti-communism and all this shit, and like
It's fun.
how Trump has protected us from socialism.
It's fun.
It's like, dude, this is a guy that got a master's in university, and
It's
he's
fun.
like buying conspiracy theories, like QAnon shit. It's like,
Fun.
what kind of
It's
education did they give him?
right,
Um,
right, right.
it's like he can't ask himself for a sec. And people talk all this shit about China and communism. It's like, ask yourself how a communist country with one political party has become the economic superpower of the world. Like, they're doing something right. I don't know. It's just like that sort of willful ignorance is just crazy to me. Like, people talk about so much about what they don't know. I don't know shit about communism either. I know it doesn't work. Like, I know it's not a system that should be applied. It's like I'm not going to talk bad about it. Like if I would ask him, like, have you ever read the Communist Manifesto? No. So why are you talking so much about it? Like that's the kind of politics I think people just gotta stop worrying about. Leave it in the past, bro.
Like what you said, if people would just stop talking about the stuff that they don't know,
Yeah. But
it
that's the
would.
thing. How do you? I also just seen this philosopher quote the other day that said, "You can't teach somebody something that they're convinced they already know of."
Damn, I like that quote a lot.
Like if somebody's convinced they know, you can't teach them anything. And there's another quote similar that says, "Convictions are a greater enemy of the truth than lies." Like if you have a conviction, that's serious. Like if you have a conviction that Trump saved America or some shit, that's worse than you lying about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Damn, I don't even know where we're gonna be in 4 years, bro.
We always leave the conversation just fucking
I know
mind
my
blown.
shit's be
Just
shook, bro.
fucking.
This sort of shit. These conversations are good because they make you think. Like, they force you to. And you know, I always learn something else from you because again, you're more spiritual than I am, and you have that different perspective.
But again, bro, remember, I didn't come from a spiritual background. I came from a science perspective, math perspective.
Well, and it's
just
interesting that you bring
down.
that up because like Stephen Hawking. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking was the only one, but like Einstein and all these other like Newton, all these famous and extremely accomplished scientists and mathematicians, at the end of their work, they all ended up finding some sort of spiritual belief.
Right.
Like there's got to be something greater that explains all of this.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking was the only one that didn't believe in anything like that.
I'm gonna have to do some more research into that, into mathematicians going into the spirituality.
Definitely. I mean, I also talk a lot about what I don't know, and I should watch my tongue sometimes. I need to start reading.
We all do.
But we all do. And like I said, like our brain makes us think we're smarter than we actually are.
Right.
And I feel like this enlightenment thing is just knowing that you don't know.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what's annoying, I guess, why I don't entirely fall for the spiritual community, because there are people that are trying to tell you what's best. And I think I feel like if you're truly special or spiritual, you know you can't say that to somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Like
you can't.
You got to teach that you know nothing. That's enlightenment.
Exactly.
Not trying to be this
100%.
leader.
I noticed
like this. Yeah, go ahead.
I notice when I don't do my disciplines, when I'm not journaling, I'm not meditating, I'm not reading, I'm not educating myself, I'm always the first one to say to other people, "Oh, the reason you're unhappy is because you're not journaling. The reason you're unhappy,
Hey,
you're not
bro,
doing
bro,
this."
bro, bro, bro.
But
I know
but
exactly what you mean.
but
I
as
know
soon
exactly
as
what
we
you mean.
start doing it, as soon as we start journaling and meditating, we don't
You don't
tell
feel like
people,
that.
"Oh, we don't tell anybody, oh, you're doing it wrong. Oh, any of this. We're just there. We can just give them our
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
opinion, and like they leave, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
As
yeah.
long as we stay disciplined and not like preach and
You don't
just
need to
be
force it.
practitioners. Exactly.
That's crazy
As
that you
long,
bring that up because I've had that exact same feeling. That like when you're doing it, it's not like something special, like you got to get other people on it.
right,
But when
right,
you're not, you're like,
right,
yo, this
right.
meditation shit is crazy, bro.
Right.
You gotta start trying it out. Um,
Exactly. Because like we never want to do things alone, and like
that's true.
motivation is very real, inspiration is very real, and like to get into those first initial steps of progress is very difficult, and like being with somebody else that's doing a meditation is definitely like motivating. But when you are self-sustaining and you are self-motivating, man, it just feels good. You could be around people, you can give them support, you can be like a
Yeah,
positive influence in people's lives. It's
it's
very
like
impactful.
when Tyler told me like out of nowhere one day, he
Mm,
was like,
mm,
"We should be gym buddies," and I was
mm,
like, "I'll
mm,
ask, but I don't think I'll be
mm,
able to." And I was able to,
mm.
and we went to the gym 3 times a
Right,
week,
right,
every week,
right,
just because you're doing it with somebody. Those
right,
things are important.
right.
Um, but yeah, that's crazy. Like we preach things when we're not doing them, and then when we're not, we're just kind of like, damn, everybody just do your own thing, dude. Like that's
Right,
what it's all about.
right.
But like there was this one
100%.
guy before I had started the podcast. I was like lining up some guests for the future, like
Uh-huh.
some big goals, and there was this one guy called Alex Sedlak.
Oh,
And I
okay.
hope he sees this shit. I hope you hear this shit, bro. I'm fucking mad at you. You're like Rogan, bro, a sellout. Um, and he started off his content on TikTok. He wasn't big. I probably found him when he had like 100K, which
Uh,
that's huge. But like on
yeah,
TikTok
which is
nowadays,
pretty big.
fuck,
Yeah,
you
right.
can blow up off one video. And
Right, in fact.
he would say like, I want to be like the spiritual leader of my generation. Like I want to be the face of the generation. And I'm like, bro, fucking go for it. Like that shit,
Right,
definitely. Like that's what I want to do. I want
right,
to be some sort of face of something.
right,
I mean,
right.
hopefully what I'm preaching is good. But he had all these positive things, and he was very spiritual. He would talk about manifestation and meditation, all these great things, in a good way. And then he hit 1 million followers. And then TikTok created the Creator Fund. He
Mm,
started making money, started getting advertisements and shit. First thing he did, went to Miami during COVID with a bunch of people, big hotels, and he bought a 2021 luxury BMW. That must have cost him $100,000, $90,000.
mhm.
That was a guy that 6 months before was saying he wanted to be a spiritual leader. I was like, damn, you sold quick,
So
bro.
you can look at these things as um spiritual items. Um, we are taught in spirituality that we are abundant. You know what I mean? And when you have abundant of resources, you can look at it as God blessing him with that opportunity to have the newest luxury of
Yeah.
this present year.
Well, once you finish, I'll tell you what also pissed me off. Because you can buy yourself, if you make money, you can buy yourself a BMW. But it's also how he got that money. But anyways, continue.
True. So that's also another thing. Like I heard some people were trying to hate on Mother Teresa because she was getting her money from white slave owners.
I didn't
And
know nothing about that.
yeah, like I heard some of her like political campaign funding came from like the black market, and like so she was
Don't
getting
they say
flack
like?
from it.
Don't they say Gandhi was racist too or some shit?
Right, right. It's like shit like exactly.
Yeah.
So um knowing that some people might have to do things that they didn't want to, or how to uh, ultimately that goes back to God, the universe experiencing itself through itself.
Yeah.
And all of those people that we see on the internet, uh, they're going through just as much struggle as any other one of us. And
Yeah.
like,
Well, that's my grandpa would say that um, we all look the same on the outside, but we can't see
right,
what we're carrying on the inside.
right, right.
So,
All
um,
I feel like that the reason why it triggered you so deeply is because you know it is a possibility for you.
ooh. I hope if I ever making it big isn't even like my goal. And you know that because we talked about that. You know I'm just doing this shit for fun.
But the only reason it triggered you is because you see it in yourself.
Because we do have a similar vision.
Yes.
But here's the thing. So this is what I was going to tell you earlier. He
Uh,
created these modules. You know, like now we go to online school and they're like
oh, right,
module
right,
3. Yeah. Okay.
right.
So he created a class essentially.
Uh-huh.
Um, and you would have one module on meditation, one module on self-love, one module on relationships, like how to have healthier relationships. And these are all good things. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to be
I love
taught
that.
these things, like how to have healthy relationships, etc. Um, and then you would also pay to have like one-on-one calls with him.
Right.
But I think to be truly effective as this spiritual leader, you can't make yourself a business. And I understand. I guess I'm making also an assumption, but I think in the end he did it to make money, and that's why it's also it makes me angry. I guess like
You
because
can look at it
the
as
prices were also insane.
like this, that like with me, I can go ahead and keep giving people advice, walk around with a book and like
Mm,
be there for people. But ultimately, if I have money, I can supply 1,000 books to people rather than me being there reading them that one book.
absolutely, but
You
what
know
did
what
he
I
do
mean?
with the money? He
See,
bought a fucking
true,
BMW.
true. That's true.
You know,
That's
he
true.
didn't invest in it more. He bought a fucking BMW.
That's true.
Um, and
And
that's
that's also judgment of like that's like the trueness of their character. Because really money shouldn't expose you, or it shouldn't change you, it should more like expose you. Like that dude was probably materialistic before he had the money. He just had this uh like pristine vision of himself on the internet, but in real life he knew he wanted that BMW. He knew
and
like
yeah, and maybe it's when the fame started catching up to him, like he saw that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
also like for example, like teaching healthy family relationships, like I feel like that's not even something you can teach because every family is different. Every family has
right.
different problems. You can't just say talk like this with your parents and it'll be better. Like no, that's not how it works. So I feel
But
like a lot of what he's selling is also crap.
yeah, yeah,
Which again, I'm very biased, and supposedly the people that have bought his course are
right.
satisfied with it. But you also don't know what kind of people are buying it or how desperate they are for some sort of help.
I saw this seminar one time that in 10 years from now it's not going to be who has the most money, who has the most information, and who can articulate the information to make people be able to accomplish goals. In
And
10 years,
that's true.
that's going to be the new currency. And
Well,
it's
sorry.
whoever has these educational systems, these programs, these um what do they call it in college, where it's
A
they give you
network.
like the year, like a syllabus.
Probably.
Is
I'm
that
not
the
sure.
word? Or they give you a syllabus for the year, and that's just what it is. Like you can pre-learn what
Yeah.
it is throughout that year.
Yeah. I think that's what it is, syllabus, yeah.
Yeah.
Um well, I mean, I wouldn't say this is necessarily educational, but I think it has
Right.
some sort of power like what you're talking about. But like Joe Rogan,
Right. Right.
he has a platform, better
Right.
said. He has a
Right.
huge platform where people respect him and they listen.
Right.
And this is where I think it's better as to where this Alex Sedlak kid made courses that cost $500 and he teaches you about meditation, all this, and he gives you a couple one-on-one calls for 30 minutes. I think a
Interesting.
podcast is a lot more impactful because you're not teaching somebody. Like you and me are
Right.
talking, and
Right.
I'm getting my interpretation of this conversation. You're
Right.
getting yours, and
Right.
whoever's listening is getting their own interpretation.
Right.
I'm not telling anybody anything.
Right.
They're taking it in however they want, and hopefully it's in a good way, and hopefully however they interpret it is similar for everyone because you kind of want to spread the same message. But we're learning from each other, and others could be learning from us, but we're not teaching, we're not putting in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that goes back to like it's kind of hard to trust people that do things for monetary gain when they say they want to help humanity and push
Right.
humanity forward. It's really hard to like believe them and say like, oh yeah, I do believe in you that you want to be there for the evolution of consciousness, but you to sit there and say, oh, but you got to pay me to help me be happier with my life. That's not
and
like
I'm tying it too much to the Alex Sedlak kid, but he said in a live stream like that one of his mentors that was like helping him put up this whole system that he could sell and whatever, they said that his time is more valuable than he thinks, and that's why it costs what it costs. But it's like, bro,
self
ah,
confidence. Another self
it's an ego
awareness type
thing.
of thing. There's
Um,
this thing that I saw another seminar where he was telling. She was all like, if you give massages and you're starting to feel more confident, instead of paying $60 an hour, charge 120. And it's just because like the quality of your craftsmanship just went up, and like
yeah,
the belief that you deserve more went up. So it's like it's hard to differentiate between actual value and
yeah,
overconfidence. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Some like Alex might be just overconfident and think that his fucking course is like the know all be all and it's worth
I
five
don't even
hundred
think he's that
dollars.
eloquent.
See, like, but
He's
you
not
could
even that
pay
well
five hundred
spoken.
dollars from a different person and go, man, this changed my life. You know what I mean? And or even for free, you can get something for free that has the exact same degree of value as that course, and absolutely
Hashtag
have
Alan Watts.
right, right, exactly.
That ass, bro.
YouTube
Hey,
University,
you put me on that shit.
bro.
And I hope
YouTube University, bro.
um I don't think I'd ask my parents for an Alan Watts book because they'd probably think I'm some sort of psyched out weirdo now. But
Have you seen
I
the Queen's
definitely
Gambit?
no, I haven't.
There's a Alan Watts quote in one of the episodes. I'm like,
I think I even messaged you once. I saw another movie where it was the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix.
I heard about that movie. I haven't watched it.
There's this one part where like there's an AI Alan Watts
Interesting.
and
What
it's
the
like
fuck?
talking as him. It's hella
That's
cool.
crazy.
I was like, damn. I don't even
What?
think Alan Watts is really known like that. He's big. Don't get it
I
twisted.
I think he's pretty known,
He's
bro.
big, but he's not like I don't even know what to compare it to. He's not like Jordan Peterson big. That's
Interesting.
what I'm saying.
Interesting.
But within the community, he's big.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I I I I I checked his books on Amazon to like see what sort of they're about, how much they cost, so I could get a
Right.
fucking Alan Watts book.
Right.
And some people in the comments were like, "This was enlightening. Like this was crazy. This motherfucker was on some shit." Like good stuff. And other comments were like, it sounds like he's just rambling. And I guess I can get that because he was genuinely like his IQ was
I
different.
can see that too.
His,
Yeah.
his thoughts were probably going nuts, and he was just writing. Like he's not writing a story. Like he was just probably all over the place.
I can definitely see that.
But I guess you can always. It's a book by a genius. Like you're gonna get something from it. But yeah, you put me on that wave, bro. There's this.
Bro, Adam Watts changed my life. He's definitely one of the spiritual teachers that
I
I
can't
hold
believe
dear.
that dude died in 1970.
Yeah, yeah.
There's one of his. I don't know if it's a lecture or a speech he gave. There's one of his lectures where he like describes exactly what a smartphone is.
Huh.
And he died in 1970. This was probably in the 50s, 60s.
That's crazy.
I mean, this guy was ahead of his thought.
So that tells me that like fucking all the dreams we have, all the movies we watch, all the books we read are realities, dimensions somewhere in this universe. And we might not experience it. This might be base reality, where this is the first Jonathan Noble, this is the first Cisco to be. But ultimately, every thought, every dream, every book was part of this universal consciousness energy. It's just electrons flowing through different parts of our brains, and it's just electrical activity. And if the fact that we can conceptually think of creating a gym weight set to build our body, or to create a screen that lets us communicate to another person across the planet, is absolutely mind blowing to think that we might not live those realities because there's so many people thinking about us going into a more technological advanced society, more of it's hard to not truly believe that self-driving cars in a planetary uh
Contact.
civilizations
Yeah.
is not like, I think it's gonna be our
Just
reality.
because you can't. There's so many quotes that back that up. Like
Right.
you can see what doesn't exist because everything didn't exist at one point.
Right.
Like there was a time when an iPhone didn't exist, but Steve Jobs saw it, and now it does exist.
Right.
It's just It's just being brave enough to create it.
Exactly.
Or like I forgot what the other quote was. Damn, I was gonna say it before that one, but now I forgot. But yeah, like just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it can't.
Right.
And I feel like we're almost educated to think like that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit's impossible. Like just because it's never happened doesn't mean it can't. Because everything didn't happen at some point, but it did. And like there's like another quote that like Tom Brady at one point in his life had never even touched a football, never even knew what it was. Now he's one of the best quarterbacks in history. So like the never is just like, again, as skeptics, you and me both, as skeptics of a lot of things, because we ask ourselves like, is this possible, whatever. You can say no a lot, but that doesn't mean it's impossible for all these things to happen, and they could very well become realities. Or same thing, like being so sure of something, you got to ask yourself, well, what if I'm wrong? Which we don't know. Again, it all leads back to we don't know.
But I think it's so powerful, and that we're on the way of knowing because we're willing to ask ourselves, is this what it is? You know what I mean? The fact that we have the conscious ability to not be narcissistic, to not be self-centered, to be more broader in our perspective of reality. It's a paradigm. We're in a completely different percentile of experientialness of this universe. You know what I mean? We're not limited to our know all, be all, narrow minded, forward, only straightforward thinking. You know what I mean? We can be able to see those shiny objects in the corner of our eye and question ourselves, was that a shiny object? Oh, do I want to go in that direction? Oh, maybe it could be better for me. It could be worse. Like, that's a gift, bro, that a lot of people and humanity was not given.
I think questioning is the most powerful thing.
Right.
Just questioning.
Absolutely.
If anything, that's the foundation of all knowledge. Asking.
Right.
And we're taught to be scared to ask.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good place to leave it off as.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I love that. Why?
But yeah, again, like, and that's what I hope. And aside of me, like, again, I told you I'm doing this podcast for fun right now because I want to do it in person. That's when I want to take it seriously.
Right.
And this is all practice. Like, I'm sure in a year we can have a much better conversation where our thoughts are a lot more articulated.
Person in person too, we can
exactly. It's a lot different. So this is all practice. But I hope that when I do take it seriously, and I'm hoping I'm successful with it, I don't become that sort of person that preaches what's right, what's wrong. And just that, and I think how we ended this podcast is perfect. The sort of idea that just push, like, ask. I'm not telling you what to ask. I'm not telling you what about. Just these sort of things. Just question. Just expand your perspective.
Yep. Exactly.
Hell yeah, man. That was awesome.
Thank you again for letting me be on your podcast, bro. Like, having these conversations, being around like-minded individuals is always a blessing, and I always take away so much stuff from our conversations, bro. And
yeah, I mean, they start off a little rambly, but once you get with it, like, yeah, and you can I say this on every podcast. It
still goes back to like my nervousness of being recorded. Like,
yeah,
oh, shit,
that's what I'm saying, bro. It's all practice. Like,
yeah.
Towards the end, you even forget you're being recorded.
Right, right. Facts.
But at the start, you're like, damn, people are gonna listen to this. But yeah, it's all fun. And I think podcasting is powerful.
Powerful.
It's like reading, really, just in audio.
Right.
And conversations. But yeah, I've also been struggling to get guests. I've actually been hitting up people now, and just no replies.
You need to come up with a team, bro.
But that's the thing. I can't get a team, bro. Like, I can't pay people. I can't.
Look, you seeing it live right here. I'm joining Cisco's Simulacra podcast for free. You know what I mean? I'm being part of the production crew. ASAP.
Bro, what I want to do is a podcast network where, like, it's not just like there's this comedy podcast, which I guess I'm not a comedy podcast, although I would also like to be at some point. And have comedians on here. I think comedians are very smart. Anyways, getting off track. There's a podcast network called Your Mom's House. And within Your Mom's House, they have like one show with the founder and his wife. They have one with one of their friends, one with a different comedian, and they all have their own podcast shows within this one channel. And, you know, maybe one day you run your own podcast in the Simulacra network or whatever, you know?
Right.
Or we have one where it's us together interviewing other people.
Definitely. I like that.
I think that'd be really cool.
I like that. Having like your own like your own broadband,
like a TV channel with different shows.
Exactly. I like that.
But for podcasting.
Yeah, that's dope as fuck, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. We'll see where it goes. Ain't no rush.
Ain't no rush, bro. We got all the time in the world. Just having these conversations already make those realities a future, though. Make it very, very, very real, very tangible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Again, like, just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't. But us talking about it is a start.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
fuck it, dude. That makes me kind of nervous just to think about. Like, damn, what if you're big one day? But
Cisco, it's when you're big one day.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
when you're
yeah,
big.
yeah,
What
yeah,
you
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah.
do with it? What you gonna
But
do
know
with
that
it?
it's for a good reason. It's not to be rich, or it's not to. It's not for none of that. Like,
You're here to
I
change
just,
humanity.
I
We're
just
here to
want to
change
do this shit
humanity.
for fun, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
can't see myself working a job, bro. I just can't. I can't. I can't
I
work a
can see
job, bro. I
yourself.
can't be a
I can
lawyer.
see
I
yourself
can't.
working for humanity, though.
Yeah, but
I
what
can
the fuck
see
is
yourself,
that?
huh?
What is that? What job title is that? What business?
World leader.
Oh,
You know what I
chill.
mean? You can
I'm not that
own a
smart though.
bro. You underestimate what you can do, and you overestimate what you can do in a year, but you underestimate what you can do in 10 years.
Hmm. That's interesting.
You'd be surprised what you can do
I
in the
wouldn't want to
next
be a
10 years.
world leader.
Says
That's not
by
knowing
somebody that
myself.
told me he
I'd
wants
be
to be
weak.
president.
Oh, I've been saying, bro. Swear to God, I've been saying that since 7th grade. Like, I'm running
See,
for president.
you had an intuition since 7th grade that I want to be president.
Yeah,
That's a
but if they
bro.
gonna find my snap memories on that shit. But yeah, I don't know. The sky's not the limit. There is none.
No limit at all. The ceiling has
Uh,
been gone away with.
yeah, bro. But yeah, I don't even want to think about that because fuck, who knows? This shit might be big, but it's really just about enjoying it now.
Right.
It's all about
Hey,
the present.
if you shoot for the stars, even if you miss, at least you hit the moon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if you never shoot, you're still
If you
down here.
never shoot, then
Yeah, man. We just enjoying it right now, bro. Like every little like I get on this shit, I'd be like, damn, I don't even care if you watched it, but you took 2 seconds to drop a like, and I
Right.
appreciate that.
Right. You
Even
got to
if you
start
didn't watch,
engaging, bro. You got to engage more.
yeah, like even if you didn't watch 10 minutes, like you fucking clicked on it. Like I appreciate that. You don't even gotta.
Right.
That kind of like the little support really means the most, bro.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I gotta hop back on it. My boy Luke, we're starting a more comedy podcast. So this is what I'm telling you. Like I want it to be a network.
Nice.
I'm literally starting next week, and it's called Salt and Pepper. It's this sort of inside joke we've had since freshman year.
Yeah.
Like little salt, little pepper.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be us two.
Yeah, that's dope as
like
fuck.
just
That's
showing like friend chemistry.
Yeah.
Instead of like a more educational vibe.
Right.
Just a chill ass vibe, like two friends having some clown ass conversations.
Yeah, that's dope as fuck. I fuck with that. The same on the same channel, or are you gonna create a whole new?
Nice. No, same channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope as fuck, bro.
And then hopefully, I need again, bro. Bad habits been coming back, yo. But if I can get back on my shit, like I wanna. This I would have to educate myself for and prepare for and articulate my thoughts well. But like solo episodes, I brought this up too. Solo episodes, just me giving my opinion on shit. That would be definitely more educational.
Yeah.
This one, what I'm doing right now, which is all I have done, is like just a little bit of everything.
When you do those solos, let me know because then I can get some editors, get some like people that make like vlogs and like actual A-roll and B-roll. Learn how like whenever you're talking about something, like for it to pop up on the screen, you know what I mean? Have like arrows point to it or whatever. Have like the animation like that. That's definitely
But yeah, this setup we're rocking right now, bro. Got the little microphone I bought because I invest in my own product. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Investing in ourselves. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Not that fucking BMW, yo. Pissing me off with that BMW, bro. But
don't worry, you'll put your mom on a yacht one day.
Man, I told my mom that like I just want to be able to buy you a house or some shit when,
Right.
if I ever, like, if I'm successful in whatever I do.
Oh, you're
I
gonna
won't be
get there,
able to-
bro.
Yeah.
I give it 5 years. I guarantee you'll be able to make your mom retire in 5 years.
In 5
I
years?
will guarantee you, Cisco.
Oh, you tripping, bro. Damn,
I
that'd be
guarantee you this is live right here on the Simulacra podcast. I am predicting that Cisco will be able to retire his parents
It's
in
alignment
5
day,
years.
yo.
December 21st, 2020.
That'd
The
be crazy,
great
bro.
conjunction. This is the mass awakening.
This is the day.
Cisco,
Manifest
I'm
that
calling
shit
it.
for everybody. But
And for everybody, I'm calling it.
that'd be insane, dude. Damn, I forgot what I was gonna say, but that shit's powerful, bro. If we could manifest, bro. Whenever I start thinking about somebody, they'll hit me up.
Bro, it's
That
quantum
shit is
physics.
so weird to me.
Bro, study quantum physics and it'll go from weird to how come like
Like it makes sense.
it's gonna be like how fast can I do it now? Like how fast can I think of somebody and how fast will they call me?
Ooh,
Or how fast can I
like
lay in
enhance
bed
your
and
powers
meditate?
type shit.
Exactly. Dead ass. Dead ass.
And quantum physics just sounds like some science. That sounds like some Ant-Man shit.
Bro, dead
But-
ass. That's dead ass. 100% that type of reality.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff I still gotta learn about. All of us. We never stop
All of us.
learning.
Exactly. Like we were talking about, it's
So-
a lifelong journey.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I hope so. I always have these thoughts where it's like, holy shit, I could die in a car accident tomorrow. But it's like, that's just negative thoughts, really. But yeah,
Humility makes us teachable.
yeah. Oh, I like that.
Humility makes us teachable.
That's the same thing. Like, if you think you know it, you're not gonna learn anything.
Right. Exactly.
You gotta go in thinking you don't know, and then you'll start absorbing some stuff. So, anyways, we gotta wrap it up. It's been over 2 hours. I don't think anybody even watches 20 minutes, but I don't give a fuck because this shit.
Well, God bless you if you're still here. The
Yeah,
universe is
yeah.
on your side.
Yes. All love, really.
Blessings coming to to our universal family. We attracting so much abundance, so
And
much
just
health.
be positive, bro.
Yep.
Positive.
Love for all.
And for people who going through a rough stage or whatever, because times are rough, nothing
You're not
lasts
alone.
forever.
We're here for you.
Yeah, everybody going through some shit. Some people more than others, but just know nothing lasts forever. And just be positive, and we all making it out, bro. So much love. Thank you for coming on.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Peace out.